only when you're able to kind of get in and start to do the work can you begin to kind of influence or suggest in these areas. But so many people don't want to do the analysis. They don't want you to kind of dig into their systems to find the truth of the information.
So as you know, as I mentioned, one of the reasons often cited that justify the gender wage gap is that women don't negotiate. We hear this often. I'm often asked about this when I give presentations. Can you tell us about that experience and your experience in negotiating and what reactions have been?
I absolutely have negotiated for myself, and a lot of women do. Honestly, it's like we read all the articles in the newspaper or online, about women not negotiating for themselves. And so we do research, right? When you get a job offer, you start to do research on, how to negotiate, especially if the offer isn't necessarily what you might have wanted. You do look into it. You start to kind of read and probe and say, okay, how can I amend this area? Or what are the right words to say? Or, how do I perhaps negotiate for the opportunity to work from home a little bit more, or a higher pay, or whatever it is that you're seeking, and then you try to go in and apply it, and sometimes you have success, and other times, like what happened with me with that nonprofit, it fails miserably, and in that case I had an offer in fact rescinded, which was so devastating.
Do you find the work that you're doing with All Things Equitable, when you're having these conversations with, be it, executives, HR managers, or I guess, who are you having those conversations with, and how are you seeing minds change and systems change?
A lot of the conversations are not being had with the right people. I will tell you that. I'm having a lot of conversations with, somebody who's coming to be the CEO's representative, right? To have a conversation prior to even meeting the CEO, to say, oh, the CEO has sent me to, retain a consultant to do this or the other. Only when you're able to kind of get in and start to do the work can you begin to kind of influence or suggest in these areas. But so many people don't want to do the analysis. They don't want you to kind of dig into their systems to find the truth of the information, right? We saw that huge Globe and Mail report at the beginning of 2021, the story that you found me in, that I was a part of. I was lucky to be
Power Gap series.
Power Gap series, that's right. And I think, when we look at that and all of the different organizations identified in this the government, in hospitals, and or entities that we fund with our tax dollars, it was really striking to tell that whether people were negotiating for themselves or not, right, there was this pay disparity, this power gap that was evident between men and women, but also between people of color. So it's really important that we look not just at what organizations are doing on an individual level, but what's happening systemically in our society, and how can we correct those things in these important institutions that should be opening up their books kind of, and showing what they're doing with respect to achieving equity, not just with respect to pay, but other aspects of equity as well. But pay is a big part of the conversation. If we're going to advance people in society and kind of minimize or increase the gains that certain groups need to make, we have to start with these entities that were in this Power Gap series, because we fund them, right? So it's really problematic when they they're part and parcel of this kind of systematic discrimination that's occurring.
You can learn more at Level the Playing Field, and please share this video on your social platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, so we can elevate the equity conversation.